Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to comment on this because I think it's really, really important. And I, as a body, I am always so impressed with the Senate and with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle. But this is a really important conversation that's being derailed in a litigation of decisions that were made this year. And that is the wrong conversation to be having right now. This has been an extraordinary pandemic. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before. In the scope of our memory, we can reference things that happened 100 years ago if we want, but none of us have seen this before. Most of the emergencies that we see would be hurricanes or something else, which is a short-lived intervention that everybody understands how that's going to unfold and what's going to happen. And that's one of the major differentiating points about what we're dealing with now. Every one of us, every 4 years, stands with our right hand raised and swears an oath to our Constitution. And I'm going to tell you that our Constitution very clearly says, in Article 3, Section 1, departments to be distinct in division of powers. And it says that they shall be separate and distinct so that none exercise the powers properly belonging to the others, nor any person exercise the power of more than one at the same time. It's our Constitution, guys. We are two parties, but we are one Senate. And as the Senate, we have a moral obligation to uphold this Constitution we took an oath to protect and to speak for our constituents. The voices that we offer in debate at this assembly are different than the issues the governor has to deal with as an executive and an administrator of many agencies. And both those conversations are imperative to us getting this right for Virginia. This is really important. I want to point out that in the code section right before any of the bills that are before you today, which is 44-146.16, it defines what an emergency means. It means any occurrence or threat thereof, natural or man-made, which results or may result in substantial injury or harm to the population, goes on to identify that a little bit more. And then it basically says that cannot wait, cannot be complicated by, excuse me, let me just read it. Damage to or loss of property or natural resources and may involve governmental action beyond that authorized or contemplated by existing law because governmental inaction for the period required to amend the law to meet the, I can't even say it, would work, immediate and irrevocable harm on the citizens or the Commonwealth. So, I'm sorry I read that so poorly, I'm a little tired, but the bottom line is, it says the governor may act when we cannot be there. That is not in perpetuity. We can be here. We should be here. We should have a division of power. We should have a conversation. I know there are a lot of bills before us. I don't think we should lump all this stuff together and talk about it separately. And I think, I find the bill that I think resonates most profoundly with the changes we need to make. This is code, guys. This is not the Constitution we're talking about changing. When we're talking about this code section, we refine the code section all the time when we find out circumstances prove to us that that code section needed some tweaks. We need some tweaks. We don't need to be in perpetuity waiting at the will of the governor to be called back. We should be able to have a conversation about, let's be honest, you could have outvoted us at any assembly we had this summer. You have all the votes. This isn't an issue of what's going to happen. It's an issue of whether or not our constituents are heard. That's what's happening here this week and next week and the week before. And we are suppressing that by not ensuring that there are limits on how long a state of emergency can go on without a conversation from the legislature. I particularly support Senator Newman's bill. I think it is very clear I think 45 days, when you think we're usually talking 5 or 10 days for a hurricane, 45 days is a very reasonable amount of time. And I would beseech you to give some serious consideration to what we're saying here, because this is really important. And sometimes we have to make decisions when we are or we are not the party in power that affect how Virginia runs from that time forward. And this is the right decision to make for Virginia, and I challenge you to make the right decision. I hope that you will pull out Senator Newman's bill from the block that you want a PBI, and they will consider that separately and take a voice vote on it if it fails.
Is there any further discussion?